Christmas holiday?
Okay, Sam, well, look, just on all that, we're not changing the guidance on how you should basically be living your life, except in a couple of ways, and that's to do with putting a mask on in some contexts, such as retail and public transport, to stop transmission, and also making sure that we check people when they arrive into the country. Because what we're trying to deal with here is the potential threat from Omicron. And what we need to do is delay the seeding of Omicron in this country. That's why tough checks at the borders are so important. But we don't see any need at present, certainly, to change the overall guidance about how people should be living their lives. And provided people continue to be cautious and sensible, we think that's the right approach. Because if you look at what's happening with the overall state of the pandemic, the Delta, our strategy for fighting the Delta version, the one that's been most dominant for a while now, has basically been working. And there's no doubt at all that though cases are high, the numbers of people being admitted to hospital, numbers of people being admitted to ICU, and sadly a number of people dying, those numbers have all been coming down. So it continues to go in the right direction. What we need to do is to take special measures now to protect against the arrival of Omicron, to delay until we've established exactly what we're dealing with. And so we need the scientists at Porton Down, we need the scientists in the vaccine companies to work out exactly to what extent this new variant, Omicron, may escape the vaccines. And that means, and there are ways in which it can escape. It can either be more transmissible, or else, of course, it can cause more serious illness and death. And I just want to stress, whatever the risks, the answer is everywhere and always to get the booster, because we think that it's overwhelmingly likely that the booster, getting vaccinated will give you more protection.
If that's the case and only small changes are being requested by you, what do you think Jenny Harris, your advisor, said this morning that people should think about, in her words, not socialising when you don't particularly need to over the winter months? Why do you disagree with her?
Look, I think it's always sensible to be careful, and I think what Jenny is saying there is right. You know, we've been living with a pandemic for a long time. People should continue to do things like make sure they have lots of fresh air, they wash their hands, and take normal precautions. I think that's entirely reasonable, but we're not going to change the overall guidance. We don't think that's necessary. We don't see anything to suggest that we need to go, for instance, to Plan B, but what we do need to do is take particular precautions against Omicron until we've worked out exactly what kind of a threat it may present. But whatever kind of a threat it may present, Sam, the crucial thing to do is for everybody to go out and get vaccinated. And yes, it's going to be a big campaign, and it will absorb a huge amount of effort, but I've no doubt that the NHS, the volunteers, and everybody else can do it.
The boss of Moderna said today that his vaccine would be much less effective because of the new variant, and it would be months before we get a new one. Do you think that's right?
I think what Stéphane Bancel was saying is probably right, but you need to look at what he's not necessarily saying that this will mean that the vaccines are ineffective against serious illness or death, and they may be less effective in preventing transmission. We see some evidence from South Africa that it's the virus Omicron is transmitted between people who have been vaccinated, but it's not clear to what extent this means that you're going to pick up a severe case of Omicron, or that will have a problem with serious illness and death.
Final question, Prime Minister.